Hi beauties, it's Shirly Joy Weiss coming to you with what I know is going to be a super powerful and very practical video today, all about one of the greatest fears that plagues most of humanity, believe it or not. You would think it's death, you'd think it's some cataclysmic event, and all of you know already from the subject of this video, it's public speaking. And any kind of public speaking or any kind of event that we're about to maybe host, maybe it's not even public speaking, but you're about to host an event, tends to create a lot of jitters and fear prior to the event, right? Especially before it happens. You know, you're about to press the launch button if you're an online entrepreneur on a launch, or you're about to, do a live event that is starting this weekend and you're the host guiding everything, or you're about to get on stage, right? And you're just kind of freaking out, filled with fear, dread, insecurity, butterflies, jitters, doubt, whatever it is for you. So this is what this video is about, and I'm going to bring it to you practical and deep, as you know I love to do. For those of you just tuning in for the first time to this video, my name is Shirly Joy Weiss, and I am a spiritual activator and a soul purpose and soul potential guide. I'm also a trainer of new paradigm coaches, teachers, healers who really want to create powerful, lasting transformation in the people they work with. And so everything I do is going to be what I call a practical spirituality. Everything I answer, whether it's a practical question about life and business like this or something of a more spiritual nature, it all comes back to spirituality, because that's where our greatest power comes from, our spiritual essence, as you will see with this video as well. But I call it a practical spirituality because so many people have read so many self-help books and are posting all these beautiful quotes and phrases all over social media and their life, such as the power of now and all these things. But as happened to me for so many years, not knowing how to actually apply it and live it, so it sounds really good theoretically, but yet when push comes to shove in your life, you're still insecure, doubtful, having conflict in relationships, with money, with work, and all that good stuff. So I really love bringing a very practical spirituality to all of you that really helps you get into action, live life from a very different sense of yourself, sense of potential, power, true confidence, true courage, true creativity that has you just live, get into action, go, flow, and not be held back by all that old, incessant insecurity and doubt. So enough about me. Let's dive in to the topic, shall we? And going to give it to you deep, like I always do, like I just said in that intro. So this actually was spurred because several people actually reached out to me, both in my Facebook group, which you're free to join. It's called Spirit Led and Rising, if you want to have all kinds of powerful activations, just like this video, given to you every day. Just go to Facebook, Spirit Led and Rising. But enough about that. It's free. Someone on my Facebook group, and then I had a friend text me, and a client, mentioned the same thing. You're just like, oh my God, I'm feeling very anxious and insecure about blah, blah, blah that is starting tomorrow, or getting on video, doing even pre-recorded video, not even live videos, right? So many of us even get insecure about something that we're just doing from the privacy of our own home, the way I am doing right now with just me and the camera. I didn't plan what I was going to say in this video. I knew in my heart what the message was going to be about. So how can I just show up and just start talking and moving without getting caught up in a whole bunch of insecurity, doubt, prep work that takes me a long time? I just jumped on. I thought and connected with my heart really quickly. What was the message I was going to bring, which I'm going to bring, and then just jumped on, Very productive, very efficient, no pause, no jitters beforehand. So what is that about? So let me address it in terms of two things that I just really want you to hear it very, very deeply. And I want to address it first and foremost in terms of what makes a great speaker. Because when you really understand what makes a great speaker, you're going to really understand also what's been holding you back and creating the feeling, fear, doubt, and insecurity And then the second thing that I want to address is what to do with those jitters. And we're going to basically address that all in one shot. But I really want to point to both and speak to both directly so that you hear it very deeply and very practically and stop being held back. The truth of the matter is that what makes a great speaker? What makes a great speaker? I want to answer in two ways. I want to answer it both in a very practical, mundane, almost psychological way. You know, what's going on inside of them that makes a great speaker? And as always, I want to speak to it in a more cosmic, universal, spiritual way. They're one and the same, but seeing them through both angles is going to help ground it in you. So let's talk about the more practical one first, and then I'll get to the juicier, more spiritual answer in just a moment. So they actually have done studies on great speakers, and they asked. They've taken groups of individuals that identified as great speakers and that have been identified as great speakers, someone that gets on a stage and is very moving and captivating, and they could be disheveled, like now I just have my beach hair, I just came from the beach, walking on the beach for an hour, so I'm in my beach hair and I have like my sun on my face and all that good stuff, but, so you can be disheveled. I'm not saying I'm disheveled, but you know what I mean. But a captivating speaker, you don't care if their shirt is tucked out and they're a little messy. They just hook you, right? And you just feel them, and you're excited, and you're connected, and you can hear a pin drop in the room. So they interviewed those kinds of speakers. And those type of speakers, of course, are people that really enjoy speaking. And then they also interviewed bad speakers. Both speakers that really self-identified themselves as just like nervous speakers and just hated speaking, and it was something they had to do for their work or whatever, but they really hated it, and as well as those that are the audience has identified as just really boring and just right, disconnected. And they asked both of these groups, the great ones and the not so great ones, the same question. Super telling. Listen to this. So the not great group, the nervous, anxious, boring speaker group, they asked him, what are you thinking about when you're on stage and doing your speaking? And so that group gave many different variations of basically the same answer. They said, I actually have just like a million things on my mind. I'm thinking about how I look. I'm thinking about my clothes. I'm thinking what I'm going to say next. I'm thinking of is the audience connecting to me? Am I getting my point across clearly? A million things going on through their head. And it happens to me too. If I really start trying to think about what I'm going to say next, I get out of presence with you. I get out of flow, and I start tripping up over my words. And you can even notice it in the beginning of this video. I'm still not fully in my flow yet. I trip up over my words a little bit, but always I'm relaxed. I don't care that I'm tripping up over my words a little bit in the beginning, because I know the more I fall deeply into the present moment, I just start flowing. And then it's on. And then a greater mind starts to just speak through me. And I just say stuff that I had no idea I was even going to say, and it's felt. Because it's coming from the moment. It's coming from the heart of me. It's coming from just a movement of energy and feeling and understanding and clarity moving through me, and then you feel that. Right? But if I have a million things in my mind, or if I just start to think about what I'm going to say next, or thinking about what you are thinking of me, and am I too slow, am I too fast, I'm going to get out of that flow. And I start to trip up. And then I get in my head, and then you don't feel me. And that's what's going on with all the bad speakers. They all said different versions of that. They're really up in their head, in other words. Whereas the great speakers, the engaging ones, the ones that sell out seats and can sell you anything, they were asked the same question, well, what do you have on your mind? And you see where this is going, I'm sure. What do you have on your mind when you go to speak? And of course, they said different variations of the same answer. like perplexed, like, what do you mean? What do I have on my mind? Nothing. Are you kidding me? Nothing. I'm just fully present with my heart, the feeling of my message, the audience. I'm just in the moment and just start stuff to flow. Just like is happening now with me. And so, on a very practical level, that's what makes a great speaker, right? Someone who is just in the flow, in the zone. I'm going to talk about the zone in just a moment from a higher, deeper perspective. That's where we're going to go with that. But let's just stay at that practical level for just a second. When you're in the zone, you flow. When you're not in the zone, you get caught up. It's really, really that simple. And in other words, what makes you a great speaker is the opposite of what so many people are doing, right? They think that the more they prepare and the more they memorize, the more they'll be confident on stage. And it's actually a little counterintuitive. You would think that's the case. And beginning speaking, sometimes they tell you that, but it's a very superficial approach to learning how to truly be a powerful speaker. You know, there are many speaking associations and speaking courses that are going to tell you that. Be prepared, be prepared, be prepared, be prepared, memorize, memorize, memorize. But that is an external source of confidence. And what I mean by that is that you're relying on something outside of you. What do I mean by something outside of you? You're relying on having to memorize lines, for example. That's outside of you. That's something you actually can't control, because what if you don't have time to memorize your lines? What if something happens to your computer on your way to a speech and suddenly you don't have your PowerPoint, right? You're constantly relying on something outside of yourself. So you are never going to be fully confident. Someone who is fully confident comes from within. When you know you can just show up, get really in the present moment, really attuned to the feeling of your message and just go. That's what makes the greatest speakers, and that's what makes the greatest confidence. And so part of the message of this video, what I want you to get, to just pick out from in between the lines here, is also a powerful message about true confidence. Because the moment you learn who you truly are, which is where the spiritual message is going to go in a moment, and learn to rely on that directly, any feelings of insecurity around anything, around business, speaking, showing up, it's going to go away. But not only that, and we're going to get back to that point because it's the fundamental point in a second, on just a very practical level. You think memorizing is the way to confidence, is the way to show up as a powerful speaker. But in fact, it's actually going to also take away from being a powerful speaker. Because how many times have you been to a show, you've seen a speaker, a summit, an event, a conference, whatever it is. And the person you're listening to speak is either reading or they're speaking from memorization. And yes, of course, there's the rare case where someone is a very natural emoter, right? In other words, they're like an actor, so they can memorize something and be very emotive around it. But the majority of people, you can spot it and smell it in a second when they're working from memorization, right? And ultimately, what I wanted to say about that, tell me that's not just the most boring speaker you've ever listened to. When someone is speaking from memorization, it's not felt. It's from the past. It's disconnected. There is a magic happening when you're just speaking from the present moment. I'm telling you, whether you realize that this is going to happen through you or not, whether you consider yourself connected or not, trust me, there is this magic that happens where you tune into the moment and you are fed exactly what needs to be said for that audience, and then that audience receives it in a really felt way. When you're speaking from memorization, even well-crafted paragraphs are not speaking directly for what is being needed in that moment. And not only that, you're not going to be coming from a place of deep emotion the way I am now, for example. Just really connected to your message because I'm coming from my head, memorization. So it's a completely different experience. So just completely throw all those old models, right? And realize that your greatest strength comes in the moment. And so where we're going to take the message now is going to really, really help you that. Because some of you I know may be saying like, oh my God, but I've never done that. That's scary. I don't know. Don't worry, I got you. And that's where we have to go to the spiritual nature of this conversation. And I'm going to prove it to you that you got this. And not only is this going to help you finally stop having jitters, and we'll even give you some tips later about those jitters too, but not only is it going to help you stop having jitters before speaking before an event, it's going to just fundamentally in general in your life make you more confident. So this is what I want you to hear. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. All of us, every single one of us, made of the exact same stuff. Einstein spoke to this all the time. He said imagination and intuition is more important than intelligence. And he spoke to his intuitive intelligence repeatedly and how it was going to that intuitive intelligence, the one that just comes spontaneously in the moment. It's not not reason, not rationale, and thinking through things. It's just being in the moment. And then boom, you suddenly get an insight, right? You suddenly get a hit. You suddenly get an idea. That's how intuition works. No, if you ever notice that intuition just comes to you, you don't seek it out, right? And he even says that that's what helped him create the theory of relativity, which was the first main theory that made him famous, right? And I always love bringing the Einstein example because I want you to realize that you may not have an IQ of Einstein, but you are actually made of the same stuff fundamentally. And the workings of your mind and your mind, body, spirit, vessel, unit, system works exactly the same as his. And I'm going to prove to you this. Because if you get this, you're going to start realizing, oh my God, I really can trust myself. And it's in fact the greatest thing I should trust on, and it's the only thing that's ever going to give me real confidence. Otherwise, I'm forever going to be relying on notes, and there's no confidence in that. So let me prove it to you, and then in a very practical way, and we'll go back to this deeper message in a second. Think back to a moment in life where, for example, you were talking to a friend. Or, let's stay with that metaphor example for a second. You're talking to a friend on the phone or in person, and your friend is having some trial, tribulation, challenge in life. And you're just there listening to your friend. You had no preparation for this meeting and this call. You had no idea what was going to be said. You're just there hanging out with your friend, be it in person or the phone, right? And then suddenly your friend starts opening up to you about what's happening. And you're there present with them, just totally relaxed, receiving it, and suddenly you just start giving them advice. And by the end of the phone call, the friend's like, oh my God, thank you so much. Again, you had no preparation, so you had no time to think beforehand what you're going to say, but stuff just came to you, right? It might have been very simple stuff. It doesn't have to be the theory of relativity, right? It doesn't have to be quantum physics, but it doesn't matter if it's simple, everyday stuff or something really quantum, epic, cosmic revelation about relationships, life, the universe, whatever. It comes from the same source is what I want you to hear. And in that moment, you're really relaxed and just something occurred to you. And you just said it in the most relaxed way. You didn't think about it. You didn't get all up in your head. Oh my God, what am I going to say to her? You're just like, well, I don't know. What about this? And what about that? And you were just totally relaxed. Or think about the example, if you do have a business and you were in a meeting that was called spontaneously that you didn't have time to prepare for, but you're just there, with your coworkers and all of you are just brainstorming and none of you had a chance to prepare. Or a sales call where you didn't really prepare, someone called you and you're just talking to them, right? Someone called you and you didn't have time to prepare, you're just talking. Where is all that spontaneous information coming from in the moment? Yeah, some of it comes from your memory banks, but there's a lot of new stuff coming too. Ideas, dots getting connected, inspirations, innovations, solutions. Again, be it simple, rudimentary, or like cosmic, be it in business or with your friend, your partner, your lover, your children, yourself. Notice you didn't prepare and it comes through you in the most relaxed way, right? That's your spiritual essence. That's your true creative, divine, if you want to use that word, nature. It's a mind that speaks through you, that moves through you, that inspires you, that seeds inspiration and ideas through you without preparation. In fact, it only ever comes from without preparation, because anything prepared is just from already previous thoughts, right? So anything you prepare, when you're cranking out and thinking and you're pulling from your memory banks, it's something that's already been created. So it's not new, it's not innovative. So when you come up with new ideas, it's usually from a mind beyond your physical brain. Mind, I want to just say, is your higher mind. A mind we are all one with, connected to, perhaps a universal mind, a greater mind. And that's the mind that fed Einstein, and that's the mind that feeds you when you allow it to. And the only thing that is actually moving through great speakers in those moments when they're on stage is that they're just so relaxed and not up in their head. Oh my God, what do I do? How do I sound? That they're not creating a traffic jam of insecure personal thinking in their brain and their consciousness, so that it empties out. They're just clear, and then the greater mind can seep in. That's how it happens, and it happens through you all the time. You just haven't been aware of it. And so to start wrapping this up and make it again really practical for you, I'm going to give you a couple tips in just a moment of what to do when those jitters still come up. But I want you to just hear the deeper message first. You are this eternal spirit in human form, forever one with everything. Oneness, universal knowledge, the great memory banks of the universe, if we want to give it that name. And we're all made up of this. We're all connected to this greater wisdom, wisdom with a capital W, as I like to say. And it guides us. And this wisdom feeds us ideas and nudges and hunches and intuitions, and it has always guided you and it will continue to guide you. And if you relax enough, you too can become an amazing speaker that has unexpected things come out of you on stage that wow even you, not just the people in front of you that you're speaking to. And what I also just want you to hear is that when you are feeling pre-event jitters or pre-getting on stage jitters or pre-hitting the record button jitters or pre-getting on Facebook Live jitters, it doesn't matter. It's just some insecure, temporary thinking that's moving through you. It happens to me too. I just don't pay attention to it anymore because I know it's not who I am. Maybe it's just some insecure thinking I'm having in my head. And so I know that when push comes to shove, I'm going to press the record button and I'm going to get present. I'm not going to give attention to thoughts. And they're going to try to come up in the beginning. And come back to my message, come back to my heart. And sure enough, soon the momentum of flow is going to take over. I'm not going to be up in my head. In other words, my very practical tip is that if you do get the jitters, don't worry about it. It's very natural for humans to get jitters before events. And the more you actually take this approach to life, to speaking, to events, where you just don't really care if you do have a little pre-event jitters, because you're not going to pay attention to it. Because if you do pay attention to it, it's going to build. It's actually going to do even with the good intention of actually clearing it, So don't pay attention. It's nothing. It's just thought. You're not insecure. You're just having insecure thinking. And the more you do this, the more all those insecure wirings in your head are going to start to atrophy away, and the more you're just going to show up, and the more you're going to give yourself space to surprise yourself. And sometimes I still have videos that I get up in my head and they're not that great, and sometimes I'm just fully present and I don't care about it anymore. It's not a big deal. But the more I show up and the more I show up and the more I show up in the present moment, just delivering from my heart, from this higher wisdom, the more I see its magic unfold through me, and how in my heart I get it, in my body and in the moment, and the words that come through me. Sometimes I say stuff that I have never read or heard ever before. That's the power of being in zone and in the flow. And then I know what true knowing is, but ultimately now I know what true confidence is, because I have confidence in that, not an outline. And I still create outlines, sure, why not? But I still allow this wisdom to work through the outline, and I'm very loose about my outlines. I actually had an outline for this video and I didn't follow it at all because the flow took over, and it feels just so much more natural and connected and authentic and good to just have from flow. And I'm not like reading and getting all jumbled up in my notes, which you're going to feel. So don't worry about it, and practice, just hit the record button. Because you can hear this video and this message, but until you experience this for yourself, it's just going to be another great, inspiring message. And that's never what I want you to do. I don't want you to go from self-help book to self-help book to self-help book. Remember, I'm the anti-coach coach. I'm the one here to free you from the self-help rat race to actually a practical spirituality that you actually live and embody and feel, and it actually changes you. And so in order to do that with this video, don't just take my word for it and just feel temporarily inspired now, but still don't do it. Because then it becomes nothing. To know and not to do is not to know. And that's what's happening with most people. They read a ton of spirituality, self-development, and self-help books. But they don't see it for themselves. They don't allow themselves the permission to see it for themselves. And so I want to really invite you, beautiful. Nothing's going to happen. If you mess up, no one can add value to you, just as no one can take away value from you. You are, at the end of the day, the eternal spirit that came before and after any situation in life, any rejection, any breakup, any failure. You are valuable in nature, except for when you have temporary feelings that make you feel and think otherwise. Temporary thinking that make you feel and think otherwise. And so really get out there. Don't worry if you have insecure thinking in the beginning, and just I'm not going to pay attention to it. Get really in your heart and distract yourself. Do some deep breathing, and then just go. And just do whatever you can to get deeply in the present moment. And of course, I guide my clients in very deep, practical ways on how to really do this. But I really wanted to get this fundamental baseline understanding across first. Because this is the key. This is the gateway, not memorizing in preparation. And in fact, that's so inefficient, because then you have to write a speech and it just takes so much more time, and it's never going to be as powerful as when you learn to come from source directly, and then you'll never be fully confident. So that's my message from today. You are made of the same stuff as me, Einstein, and every great orator in the world, and I can't wait for you to gift yourself with the experience to discover this for yourself, and then ultimately then gift the wisdom that's coming through you uniquely to our world, because our world needs it more than ever. Our world needs innovation, change, positivity, possibility, new models to make the old models obsolete more than ever. And they're wanting to come through you. You are that special and important. And if you're ready to really, really gain, experience, know, touch, and live through this deep, innate confidence that I've been referring to in this whole video, give me a call back. Reach out, send me a private message. I'm here from you. And I offer a lot of beautiful, both group and one-on-one mentoring programs to facilitate you and help you get out powerfully in the work, in business, in life purpose, of course, because that's needed more than ever, but also just to give you a more delicious, natural, confident experience of life. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that I'm not some enlightened person that doesn't get the fears and anxieties and depressions that you're going through. Because I was there. And I had so much of it so deeply. And I broke through. My life experience is so radically different today. I'm alive. I love myself. I love life. Everything is so fresh and new each day. And that was so not my world for decades. If I can be this, you can too. I promise you. So reach out to me. You don't have to move through this alone. And until next time, I love you. You're beautiful and more brilliant than you can even imagine. And I'm excited for when you also find that out, because I know it, I see it. And you too will one day see it. And when, that's up to you. But you will, I promise you. I love you, everyone. Take care.